in regards to loneliness, as it's something that we're all dealing with probably to a certain extent, some more than others. And we just wanted to know what kind of lifestyle adjustments you would recommend for people during this time.
Lifestyle adjustments. I think where we can, to to try and socialize where we can. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because we've got these kind of bubbles. I mean,
Yes.
I'm quite fortunate. I'm living with my wife, so that's someone that I obviously I trust and I can share things with. I mean, social media to a point, I guess. With what we're doing now is a connection. It's a form of connection. I think that's a good thing about technology. I think technology gets a tough time for, people say that it's all bad, and there are definitely bad things about it. But I think these kind of calls help. My wife has been doing this with parents, so that's in China, so that's really helping her.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in terms of, this is what makes this COVID thing so difficult, is there's only a certain amount of connecting that we can do. So we kind of lose that element of control.
Mm-hmm.
Or we just, I met you both in the same Starbucks. So before we just go to
that famous Starbucks.
yeah. So that's really off the table, so even if people wanted to do that, we can't. So there's some acceptance that needs to go on. And I think that a lot of what's causing this anxiety is this feeling that this thing's just going to go on, and people are thinking, there's this kind of thinking a bit too far ahead that's going on, which is
overthinking,
yeah, which is making me panic. I understand that, but so I guess one of the adjustments wouldn't be a practical thing. It would be a kind of a psychological thing. Is try and take one day at a time. Try and understand that, like everything else in life, this is going to pass. Because a lot of the anxiety that I've come across in my clinical practice has been this thinking, well, this is just this catastrophizing. This is going to last for ages. People don't realize how long this lockdown is going to last, and then it's going to cause this, and this. And it's really important to try and find ways to just bring that right back to the present, whether it's through meditation or writing down our thoughts. But in terms of loneliness, I think this is the kicker, because there's only so much we can do. We're really limited to doing these kind of calls or just meeting someone, for a social distancing walk or something like that,
Mm-hmm. I think you're making very valid points here, because, like you said, I think some people have just been thrown into the deep end, and a lot of people are alone at the moment. And I think even sometimes, there might be households in which you're with other people, but you still might feel lonely. So I think it's about finding that acceptance from within and being comfortable with your own company, and finding companionship maybe in a good book, or in meditation, or for those of you who are religious, in praying. Have you got anything to add, Tali? Very quiet this morning.
I'm listening to this conversation. It's like I'm baffled and amazed at the same time. Well done, Maggie. And Leigh, I was going to ask you this question that's been lingering in my brain. So you mentioned you work with kids, and I think there is a kid hiding inside every single human mind. Doesn't matter about the physical age. Kids learn from playing, and playing it's hands-on, being close to nature, being close to the ground. That's how we learn. If we take the element out of the human being, we feel depressed and lonely. So how would, in your practice, would you sort of like kind of explain or sort of like shed some light on that, if does that make sense? Because we both are artists, me and Maggie, and we tend to get dirty in terms of like don't get any ideas.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, right. So we tend to sort of like use color and paintbrush, or like just sitting and playing guitar on the floor. Just like you're grounding yourself. How would you think that affects the human psyche?
Yeah, I think as you're talking, I'm thinking about depression. There's something that seems to characterize depression is withdrawal away from the
Yeah.
world and into the self. And I think it's but the thing about the way I work is clients really have to come to that realization, with my help, but on their own. So the way I explain to Maggie, the way I work, just be to give clients these 10 tips for a better life. I find there's YouTube videos dedicated to that kind of thing. 5 things that will make you feel better, straight away. These are things that clients already know on some level. So me just telling them what they need to do, it's not going to work. There's something about clients needing to be ready. And that's
Yeah.
I've learned more than anything else in therapy. Clients know there's part of every client. The client that's been in bed for months because they can't face people, they can't face. They already know they need to do these things, and they feel like a real loser because they can't do them. But they have to kind of come to the realization on their own, and they have to put it into action, with my help. But sometimes it can take a while. So that's really how I'd work with a client. But I completely agree that withdrawal from these things, it creates this kind of lack of grounding, lack of balance that we really need to stay healthy.
Yeah, because they say for depression sufferers, it's about doing the things, forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And like you said, socializing is one of them. And how can we do that when at the moment that's not really an option to the same extent? So maybe, just saying like, do you want to go for a social distance walk? That kind of thing, and just trying to find other ways to adapt to the situation, but so you're still